Welcome to the Look Who It Is podcast, where we sit down with artists to talk music, life, and all the stories in between. Now here's your host, Dane Engel.
Hey everybody, today I'm talking with Caleb from the band His and Hers out of North Carolina. Tell me how you guys got started.
Sure. So we've been married for 17 years, first of all, Sara and I. Before we started having kids, I played some solo gigs, here and there at some bars around town, things like that. And then that kind of came to a halt after we had our first, who's 15 now. So by the time he got to be 3, 4, 5, I kind of had the itch to get back into it. And we actually had a friend of ours that had us come sing at her wedding as a duo. So we went and we did that. We sang at her wedding, sang a few songs, and it was kind of like an aha moment, like, oh, we could maybe do this together and kind of make a thing of it. So we started to go out as Caleb and Sara at bars and restaurants and that kind of thing, doing this 3 hour cover gigs and kind of going through that grind. So we did that for a couple of years, and then we would start to kind of sneak in some songs that I had written, and kind of get down that path of trying to make that transition from, playing mainly cover stuff and bars and whatnot to doing more original music. And when that happened, we decided we needed a name. So I believe Sara saw some hand towels at TJ Maxx that said His and Hers, and she's like, "Oh, that'd be a great name." So it was as easy as that. We went with it, and we've been His and Hers ever since.
Yeah, it is catchy. I like it.
Yeah. I was proud of her. I always struggle with thinking of names of a band name or name of an album or even naming a song. It's hard for me to think of something that's witty without being obnoxious. So
Right.
Yeah.
Must be a man thing.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, we've been doing mainly original stuff now for 3 or 4 years. Kind of doing more listening room festivals, concerts, that kind of thing. We'll still do the occasional bar winery kind of thing. But it's pretty few and far between now. We try to just kind of limit ourselves to those gigs that are more geared towards original music and to more of a listening atmosphere.
Do you usually get invited to those now?
Yeah, actually, that's kind of the way that it seems to go. Like I don't do a whole lot of reaching out anymore, like to book gigs. I just kind of, I've learned to put yourself in situations and around people that are more in that vein. And I guess I like to listen to like Dave Ramsey Financial Radio on the way to work. It just kind of helps, just kind of zone out and listen to people's, people's problems, I guess. But they talk about the proximity principle on there. So, if you want to be, be a rocket scientist, you should hang around rocket scientists. If you want to be an architect, you should hang around architects. Well, the examples go on and on, but basically just building relationships with people who are, in those industries and kind of in that vein has been really helpful to kind of have those connections. And people reach out to us to fill in for festivals or listening rooms, or we've got some really good opening act opportunities and things like that. So it's been great. We're more of a quality over quantity kind of folks anyway. So we carry that on with our music and our music performance too. There's a lot of power in being able to say no to things. So so we've been blessed over the last couple of years for sure.
You played some pretty large venues too.
Yeah, we kind of have like it used to be internal, but now it's pretty like a literal list of the kind of bucket list venues that we've like to play, and we've been able to check off a lot of those, like in our region at least. We were able to play Merlefest. We've played the Ramkat several times, which is in downtown Winston-Salem. It's a 1,000-seat venue there. We played the Reeves Theater in Elkin. We've played Willingham Theater in Yadkinville. These are all places that we would go to see shows and be like, man, it'd be nice to be able to play here one day. And we've been able to pull it off. Played at the Night Theater in downtown Charlotte last year. That was a really cool experience. It's where the Hunger Game was filmed, so that was fun.
Yeah. What's been your favorite so far?
Venue wise, we always love to play at the Ramkat in Winston. It's kind of like our hometown, like, you know, big venue, if you will. So like I said, it holds 1,000 people. It's inside. We opened for the Steel Drivers there a couple years ago. That was sold out, 1,000 people. That was awesome. That was so much fun. We played with a boy named Banjo, and then we played with Vince Herman, who's from Leftover Salmon. We played with him there as well. And then upstairs they have it's called the Gas Hill Drinking Room, but it's basically like a listening room kind of environment, and it seats like 100. And we've played that several times. We played that with some music friends of ours locally, so we always have a good turnout when we can pair up with some friends and, you know, sell a few tickets and have a good time. So that's probably our favorite place to play locally. Anytime we can play outside on a big stage, you know, at a festival or something, you know, something along those lines, that's always a great time too. But the Ramkat always have kind of a special place in our heart, if you will. So.
Right. Is there a big difference between playing in a theater or something like that than playing a huge festival?
Yeah, and not to say we've played a huge festival, but we have played some festivals. When you're in a theater, you know, it's a lot more. Everything's a lot more intentional, I guess, might be a way to put it. You know, everything's a lot more focused on the stage, and everything's curated really to the music. Sometimes at a festival, there's other things going on, and, you know, it's kind of a come and go. Especially if you got multiple stages, people are just kind of walking around, and you know, and we're not at the point where we're playing, you know, Saturday night at 9:00 on one of these festivals. You know, it's usually a middle of the day kind of thing, and coming and going. Those are just fun for us because they're, I don't want to say low pressure as they're not important, but we can go up there and just have a good time, and you know, not feel the pressure of, you know, hundreds of eyes on us sometimes. So
yeah, I've seen some footage of you guys playing a festival outside. You have them on YouTube or on your TikToks and stuff.
Yeah. We need to do better about posting, but yeah, we I guess probably the biggest crowd we played to was just this past July 5th. Our hometown has a pretty big amphitheater at our community park. Excuse me, and just for kind of scale, we've got about, I don't know, maybe 40,000 people that live in our town, and there were 6,500 at this 4th of July celebration that we got to play for. So that was a lot of fun to play for that many people that are all from our hometown and surrounding areas. So yeah, that was definitely a blast.
So then, but music isn't your only job. I mean, you have kids and stuff, but you also work too.
I do, yeah. So I'm a nurse manager in the operating room at our large hospital here. So I luckily I have a great leadership support system there that allows for, you know, freedom to do music when things come up. But it's a Monday through Friday, you know, 8 to 5 kind of deal now. So and then Sara, my wife, she's a full-time teacher at our high school.
Nice. Yeah. So you got to have some good time management skills, huh?
We do, yeah. We really have to plan. And our bass player is a lawyer, and our drummer works in the lumber industry up in the mountains. So yeah, we have to kind of clear everything with each other before we agree and go forward with a gig or an opportunity, just because we've all got so much going on. So we're the only ones with, well, our drummer does have a teenager, but we've got the 2 kids. So usually if we can work it out, then the guys are great to pile on behind us. But yeah, we've got to clear it with everyone's bosses.
So how long has your bass and drum player been with you?
It's been about 3 years that the 2 of them have been with us. So it started out with just, you know, like I said, me and Sara. We were just a duo for a long time. We had a couple people fill in, you know, playing bass for us just for a couple of shows here and there. And then one of those guys actually left and played an Old Crow Medicine show for a few years, and we just saw him down in Wilmington opening for the Wood Brothers. But then we met Drew, our bass player, at a gig we had. I can't remember if it was for Christmas or Halloween, but it was for an occasion, for a holiday. and he was there, and it was just Sarah and I. He said, "Hey, you guys really need a bass player." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're right, we do." And he's like, "What about me?" So we brought him in, and I don't want to say audition, but we kind of play with him for a few times, and it's good fit. He's a great guy, always dependable, and just a good guy to be around. But then the first gig he played with us was a ticket event at the Gasville Drinking Room that I mentioned earlier. So he kind of hit the ground running there, and then probably 6 months later, he knows Bucky, our drummer, and he brought him in, and again, just a good fit and a good time, and really allowed us to kind of expand some of the music that we were playing, having drums for sure. So yeah, it's been great playing with those guys.
You have an album that came out in 22.
Yes, the last full length album we had was in 22. That was, you can kind of, I don't know if I can turn my computer, but you can kind of see the studio here that we're sitting in. So, this is before Drew and Bucky. So everything on that album was just me and Sara recording everything here. We put that one together. We are percentage wise probably 80% done with our next full length album. So it's been a lot of fun having the guys in the studio, and having this setup where they can just kind of come in and plug and play and lay stuff down. It's been a good time, but yeah, we're really close to our next release, so we're excited about that.
Now, do you produce the music too?
Yeah, it's all in house. It's all sitting right here in this chair. Record it all, produce it. I just kind of do the best I can, and I will mix stuff to the best of my ability, and then put it on my phone, listen to it in the car, listen to it in headphones, come back, make adjustments. That process will go on for a couple of weeks usually. Once we're ready for that, I learn a lot of tips and tricks on from creators on social media, and just Googling things like how do I make this sound like this or whatever, and learn a lot of tips and tricks. So I feel like every time I record, I've got like another little trick up my sleeve to try to make things sound as professional and clean as possible. But yeah, it's all in house. We don't outsource anything. So.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Your software you use, like a lot of those softwares, I mean, there's a lot of big learning curve.
For sure. Yeah. So, so we have 3 albums that we've released. The first one was with an old, thick, chunky MacBook on GarageBand with a $25 microphone and a little interface box that a buddy gave me for free, and we did the whole thing on it. And then the next one was a little more advanced, if you will. I had a 2-channel interface for that one, so that was fun. But yeah, now we've got, I work on Logic Pro now, so we use that. So having GarageBand experience before has made Logic an easier transition because they're pretty similar. It's just GarageBand on steroids pretty much. But yeah, just there's so much, there's so many nuances to all the different techniques. Recording drums live, it has been a giant learning curve. That's probably been the biggest new thing to learn, is how to record drums live, how to make them sound big and bold without clipping out. So that's been an experience, but it's again, it's a lot of fun to mess around with, and it's nice having it here at the house. Just hop upstairs and goof around for an hour and see what happens. So
right, you ever get frustrated and you're like, we're going to a studio?
I have thought about it before. Yeah, for sure. I've definitely thought about sending things off to someone to mix and master, but that's usually where it comes from. The actual engineering part is okay. It's fine. I kind of like having the freedom, the flexibility to, I'm the kind of person who will put something on a loop and record over it 25 times. I just get in my head like, all right, it's gotta be perfect. So I'll do it over and over and over, and I realize like they're all exactly the same. But going to a studio, I wouldn't have that flexibility to be so I guess annoying with with how many times I like to take things.
So like the genre of your music that you describe that you play is folk Americanagrass?
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good term. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this something you've made up?
I made it up.
Yeah.
I think I did. Yeah. If anyone else wants to use it, they're welcome to. Just just shout out his and hers. But yeah, we when like I said earlier, when Sarah and I started playing, we were doing the the covers in the bar and that kind of thing. And as I started to write more music, it was, I would say, more folk singer songwriter, kind of vibes. But I'm kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say unique, but different in that I didn't really, and again, I'm not saying that I'm good at guitar, but I didn't really move past kind of the beginner stage of playing guitar until I was in adulthood. When Sarah and I started playing, I mean, just to be honest and transparent, it was still one of the situations where like I'd see a song with a chord I didn't know and be like, oh, we can't play that. You know what I mean? So I quickly kind of figured out like, all right, you're really going to have to be intentional and get better at your instrument to move forward and progress. So as that happened, I did a lot of like online bluegrass guitar lessons. I started going to bluegrass jams, learning from people. Started listening to Billy Strings and Tony Rice and things like that, just to kind of hear how the guitar could be voiced differently. And then again, just like with the recording stuff, there's so many awesome, resources online to learn little tips and tricks and kind of, kind of lean into your own vibe, your own style. And, in doing that, I was able to pick up a few bluegrass licks. I was able to kind of throw into some songs, and then go into the jams. I met a lot of bluegrassers. This kind of where it kind of comes back to the proximity principle I mentioned earlier. If you want to play music, then hang around people who play music at a high level. So I started hanging around that circle, started learning bluegrass songs, really just so I could keep up at the jam. And then started incorporating that into our live set. I bought Sara a mandolin and said, here, learn 4 or 5 chords so you can chop along with me and give me some rhythm. Which she's done great at picking up, being a full-time working mom, she's done well to indulge my asks sometimes. But, so anyway, so we started leaning into kind of the bluegrass stuff and covering a few, Billy Strings and Ricky Skaggs and, Tony Rice and some of the, Stanley Brothers and Bill Monroe, all that kind of stuff. We would put it in our sets. We would play with a little bit of an edge, though. It's kind of like, Bill Monroe that you can drink a beer to was kind of how we would try to kick it up a notch. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but I refer to some bluegrass as nursing home bluegrass, and we tried to make sure we didn't play the nursing home bluegrass and try to keep it upbeat. So anyway, so kind of going down that road, we would kind of advertise ourselves as a folk bluegrass band. When we pulled the bass and the drums in, we were able to kind of expand more. I play electric guitar for probably half our set now, and then acoustic kind of bluegrass stuff for half. So I don't feel like I'm a good enough bluegrass picker to call myself bluegrass. So that's where the folk Americanagrass comes in. So there's it's folk in that it's it's kind of songwriting about I guess kind of the things that folk music would be about family and and relationships and your hometown and all that kind of stuff. But then it's you also have drum and bass and a little electric guitar and but we still pick some of the we play a Stanley Brothers tune or a Flatt and Scruggs tune almost every single set, just to there might be 4 or 5 people in the crowd who recognize what it is, but it's really cool for those people. So and we enjoy playing it. So
I feel like it also help open you up to more venues and stuff too.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. We kind of found ourselves, we actually got some good opportunities marketing ourselves as bluegrass and being able to kind of lean into that world, into that genre. And when you get into that world and genre, I mean, people that you've never heard of that might play 2 gigs a year are just some of the most incredible musicians you've ever heard. Like it's wild how good so many people are in that world, in that genre. So when we would go to those kind of places, we felt like we were sort of on the edge of being in that kind of group, but we weren't really sure how to lean into it all the way. So we've played one bluegrass festival. We had a dobro and a banjo player and that kind of stuff. And we still do that from very rarely from time to time. Back in June, we played a gig at this it's a campground, but they have like the weekend was like sold out. So it was like a really, really good crowd. People come down to the little amphitheater at the campground, and they wanted a bluegrass, shows. And they kind of knew us from that scene, a few years ago. And Loop to Sand, we were able to throw together we got a fiddle player and a banjo player and an upright bass, and just kind of did the bluegrass thing to the best of our ability. But yeah, we, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, more venues. Yes. Yeah. So as we kind of felt ourselves like, okay, we might be getting pigeonholed a little bit into this, kind of genre here. We've tried to expand a little bit, and, we try to put a little rock and roll in when we can. So
What's the most rock and roll song you play?
We opened for, there's a band called Scythian that, they're like an Irish, they play at, I'm not sure, where are you regionally? Like in
Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. So Merlefest, I don't know if you're familiar with Doc Watson.
Mm-hmm.
It's Doc Watson's, it was his festival before he passed away, and it's in the mountains of North Carolina. And they're a band that's played there for forever and ever and ever. And we actually met them through one of the bluegrass opportunities that we had when we were playing as a duo. We were added on to this kind of local festival here that they were the headliners for. We met them there, and super cool guys, and we kind of became friends, and they had us up at their festival. And anyway, long story short, one of our bucket list places was the Reeves Theater in Elkin. It's an old, like one of those old movie theaters that they turned into a music venue. It's just got a super cool vibe. And they were coming to town. They're from like the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia area. And they were coming to town and asked us to open for them. And at this time we're playing more, kind of, we have a little electric set built in. And we learned and closed our set with Fat Bottom Girls by Queen. So that was pretty fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was an all original set until that one. So
who sang that?
Sara, my wife did, actually. Yeah. She sings she sings that one. And we had a lot of fun with that one. That was good.
What would you say your percentage of who sings your songs? I mean,
yeah, that's a great question. We try our best to keep it 50-50, but usually it's probably 70-30 me. And that's not intentional. It's just because I do most of the songwriting. So a lot of times when I write songs, I'm writing them in my own voice, if you will. So there are times where I have purposely written songs, like, me and Sara will come together and she's like, hey, I kind of have a song idea of, about this thing or whatever. And we'll sit down and we'll kind of hammer it out, like with the intention of her doing it. And honestly, those are some of our better songs, the ones that we've done that way. But then the ones that I kind of come up, with individually, I always tend to write those on my own voicing. And then, if it's one that Sara takes a particular liking to, then we'll kind of change the key and get it in her register. But oftentimes it ends up being, 60-40, 70-30, something like that.
you guys like to harmonize a lot too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's kind of our thing. Yeah. Yeah. We actually met in high school. My mother-in-law, Sara's mom, was our chorus teacher, at high school. And we met through that program and went to high school and sang together the whole time. And then, doing this now. So yeah, singing a harmony is a big part of our act, if you will, and big part of our sound. We both grew up singing in church and kind of doing the gospel thing. Sara's church actually had no instruments in it, so it was all a cappella harmony singing. So that's really where her love for harmony kind of came from.
Now, I've seen you also have a live album.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so we there was a great place, and it's not open anymore, but it was called the Primavera Roadhouse, and it was in this little town called Lansing, up in the mountains of North Carolina. It's I don't know if you're familiar with like Boone, North Carolina is. It's like you go to Boone and then go, I guess you go north, or you go to West Jefferson and go north. But anyway, it's way out in the middle of nowhere. And he had us out to play there at the Roadhouse, and it's like this old like downtown street front with like old storefronts. And he bought one that was kind of abandoned and kind of gutted it and turned it into like a listing room, basically. And the first time we were ever there, I don't think we've ever been to this place in our lives. And we sold out the little room, having never played there before. So that was the energy was already there. It was already, kind of an exciting show. And they do like multi-track recording of the whole thing for you. So it was a great show, great crowd and audience. And it was we actually played there twice. And we were lucky enough to sell it out both times. And so half the songs are from the first show and half the songs are from the second show. But they sent us all the stems so we could, come back and get it, mix it and master it and get it sounding, hopefully decent. But yeah, it was fun. We called it Volume 1 because there's just such a huge amount of songs on there. And we've got some of the rough stems, set aside to maybe do a Volume 2 someday. But we just kind of shifted our focus on doing our new album. But yeah, it was another good experience too to get in the studio with the guys and kind of hear what their ideas are as far as mixing and getting sounds balanced and things.
So was that the intention when you played there, was to record and have a live album come from it?
No, it wasn't at all. Actually, it was just something that they said, hey, by the way, we recorded this. We're like, oh, okay, cool. And they're like, well, we recorded all the stems individually, so you can have whatever you want. So that's great. I think they initially did it kind of for their own purposes. So when they put together promos, they would have good quality, sound to put behind promos and that kind of thing. And they actually put out a little promo music video of one of our songs, like, 20, 30 seconds of it, just kind of advertising their space or whatever. And it sounded awesome. So I messaged him like, hey, where'd that come from? He's like, oh yeah, we have all the stems from your shows. So he put them in a little Dropbox for me. And, so it was just a nice little surprise.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a great place. There was some. They were renting or leasing the building, and then I don't know. There was something with the original owner that passed away, and the kids sold it, and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's currently no more. But maybe one day he'll get it going again.
And then you said you got new music coming out too.
Yeah, we do. We've got 9 songs pretty much finished right now. We're debating on whether to add an 10th to make it a pretty round number, but yeah, we've got 9 songs that are in various stages of completion. Some of them we could release today. We have a fiddle player that plays with us occasionally, so we're just waiting for him to come and lay down some parts and then just get everything all tidy. So,
do you like the idea of putting out a full album compared to just releasing singles?
Yes and no. I wish there was a more clear-cut way to, release singles but then have them populate on an album. And maybe there is, and I'm just dumb to the fact, but like I wish you could release these singles, and then once they're released, they would be part of an album without having to re-release the whole thing. Does that make sense? Yeah, maybe there's a TikTok video for how to do that. I don't know.
Yeah,
but that would be an ideal world, is to release these as singles. We've got a couple folks lined up to help us out with some music videos and that kind of thing. So we're looking forward to that, that creative process. Our oldest son, he's in Adobe classes at his high school, so he's Photoshop and Illustrator certified, and by the end of the semester, he'll have his whatever video production suite Adobe has. I can't remember what it's called now, but he'll have that at the end. So we're hoping that he can make one for us too as a project of his. So.
I wish I knew Photoshop.
I know it's cheap labor. So yeah.
Now are they into music?
Not as much as we were at their age. So they both played took Suzuki guitar when they were small, which is like kind of an intro to classical guitar for. I mean, they were like 3 and 5 years old when they took this. So I could still give them a guitar, and they could play some cowboy chords and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and that kind of thing. But whenever in 2020, whenever COVID hit, they stopped taking in person, and they moved to like an online lesson format, and they just kind of dropped it after that. My youngest took mandolin lessons for a little bit as well, but they haven't fallen in love with it yet, and that's cool. Yeah, they're more into sports and video games and
right.
little boy stuff. So. My youngest is in his middle school has an advanced guitar class, so he has taken that as one of his middle school classes this year. So we'll see if he digs it.
They into a lot different genres of music too.
Yeah, yeah. My I don't even know how to describe it, but it's some sort of genre of hip hop that is pretty indiscernible what's going on. There's my I got my oldest son tickets to see Ken Carson for his birthday. I don't know. I listened to it and I was like, dude, this is going to be a long 3 hours to sit through this, but I'll do it for you. But it's going to be rough. Yeah. You know what's crazy though is I have so I really fell in love. I heard I was in a friend in middle school. I was in a friend's van going home from a I don't know football game or something, and I heard the opening riff of "Come Together." Come on, shoot, boom, 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 and I just like perked my ears. I'm like, what is that? Like, what is that? Like, what's that sound? And found out it was the Beatles, and I had this like Beatles obsession from like I don't know 7th grade to like 9th grade, and then I fell in love with Nirvana and Hendrix. But then really, I got absolutely obsessed with Radiohead and even Coldplay to an extent. Don't judge me, but early Coldplay was good. But I got obsessed with Radiohead. So anyway, I mean, I listened to Radiohead for probably 15 years, like as my pretty much close to exclusive artist I will listen to all the time. And now a couple of their songs have like gone viral on TikTok, and it came on the radio station we were listening to. I think the Spectrum, like on Sirius, or whatever, and where their songs came on, and my youngest was in the back singing all the words, and I was like how wait, how do you know this? He's like, this is Radiohead. I'm like, yes, I know it's Radiohead. Like no one likes Radiohead but me in this house. But so that's been cool to see kind of that resurgence of of their music, and maybe my youngest will become a Radiohead addict like I was. So
Yeah, I do have to give TikTok props for bringing a lot of older music back.
yeah,
I say
yeah,
older,
for
but
sure.
it
Of
doesn't feel
course.
that it
Oh, I
doesn't
get
feel
it.
that old.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was in college when In Rainbows came out, and but that's been 20 years.
So you're doing all these big things. So obviously you want to keep doing more and trying to push more stuff
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, we do, man. We're I don't know what the end goal is and what we're ultimately looking to achieve, if you will. Honestly, we're just trying to have good experiences and have fun and put out music that people enjoy, and that maybe it speaks to someone, and it gives them a happy feeling or makes them reminisce, or whatever. That's kind of the ultimate goal, is to have a good time and maybe help somebody through something. Or we played it's a good segue into we played a show this past weekend. Some there's a we have a good group of local musicians and local bands kind of in our hometown um, that are more interested in playing original music and whatnot. And one of them put together they call it a mini fest this weekend, at this really nice venue in town. They usually host weddings there, but they have a really nice amphitheater that they built. So we had a little festival there. But this lady came up to me, and she's like, hey, can you, my name's, whatever. Can you play the song that I wrote so many years ago called There's a Ghost? And it's on one of our like 2 albums ago. And I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't even thought about that song in like, 5 or 6 years. And she's like, my husband passed away last year, and we saw you guys. We saw you guys at this burger joint that used to have music back when we played as a duo. So we saw you guys there, and my husband loved you ever since, and that was his favorite song. And I was like, God, sorry, like, thank you, and I'm sorry, and I don't remember it, and I'm sorry, Um, so I don't know, just if we can write songs that are real and vulnerable, and maybe it'll connect with someone, and that's what it's kind of all about, I guess. And having fun and having a good time. So we try our best to not take ourselves too seriously, but we try to take the art seriously. And I think that's kind of where the line is.
So you just have fun and jam out together a lot.
We do some. we're working parents, so our ability to come up and just jam out isn't always there. But yeah, there are times where we'll sit down and we'll just kind of sing through. We like to sing hymns and things like that, just to kind of work on our harmony and just kind of enjoy each other's voices. We always call our gigs. We always refer to them as our date night. It's kind of a good joke for the crowd. We thank them for coming to our date night tonight. We appreciate it. Um, but yeah, we're able to just kind of hang together and we're able to express ourselves with our music. As a couple and as a group, and that's a really nice way to be able to connect and sometimes connect, sometimes have fun, sometimes help wind down. There's just a lot of great benefits to being able to play music together.
Do you often get a lot of your ideas for your songs just randomly?
Yeah, I write songs all the time when I'm driving. That's when things come to me a lot. I don't know if it's if I'm listening to other songs, I feel like give me inspiration sometimes. Like I'll hear a line, I hear a chord change, I hear whatever that pops something into my head. I'm like, ooh, that might be something. So I'll try to speak into my, if I pull out my voice notes now, I mean, there's like literally thousands of notes. Most of it's probably nonsense, but there might be something in there. But that's usually where my songs come from, driving, or if I'm riding. If I'm riding the car, if Sarah gets car sick, so she drives a lot. So if I'm riding in the car, listening to something will pop in my head, and I'll pull up my phone and say, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing. I gotta get this done before I forget." A lot of times, walking out of work, like I'm on my way out the door, I'll be humming something, and something will hit. I can think of like 3 songs that I wrote on the sidewalk, like on the way to the parking deck. Like you kind of sit in the office all day and stare at a computer. When you finally like come outside and like see some sunshine, it's like, I don't know, something like in your mind. It's like, all right, let's wake up, and be creative for just a second. I don't know why, but that seems to happen too.
When you play, do you explain to the crowd like where your songs come from?
Yeah, sometimes. I try to be conscious of what I say and what we say when we're on stage. I think there's a fine line between being personal and allowing like an intimate moment with the crowd and explaining where your songs come from, and also like boring people with some drawn out story that they don't care about. So like we have a song called Family Land that's probably one of our favorite ones that we wrote, but we live on we call it the compound, but it's 150 acres or so of family land here. And this is all my wife's family's land, but we have uncle up the street, house next door, brother here, and then grandparents were down the road with a big cattle farm. And they're the ones that had all this and gave it to the family to kind of preserve their legacy, if you will. And one of our songs is about that, and about, us, thinking when we were younger, like there's nowhere worse in the world to be than out here in the country on this land, and then getting away from it and realize like, oh, never mind, that's where it's at. So, and her grandparents have since passed, so that's become a really special song for us. So I usually say a little something about that one. If there's some little quick funny thing, I'll spit it out. But I've tried to do better about not talking so much and playing. I know sometimes it's the opposite, like people just sit there silent and just play a song and don't say anything, But I think you got to kind of find that balance. I think it's also important to plan what you're gonna say too. Like I try to think like before a gig, like when I'm writing the set list out, especially if it's like a 45-minute or an hour whatever set, writing the set list out. Usually I try to pair it with like if we're going to capo and we need a tune, I'll try to think like, all right, what can I say here that will bridge us into the next part of the set, and where I won't sound like an idiot, talking or try to tell some unfunny joke that no one laughs at. Yeah,
I like to ask, do you get into like a different persona when you go up and play?
That's a good question. I don't think so. And maybe I kind of wish that I did a little more. I think that is one thing that I've always had to kind of work at, is stage presence. Growing up, I grew up in like a pretty fundamental like Baptist church when I was a kid. And when you get up and sing, there, which I did from the time I was, I don't know, 6 or 7. You hold a microphone and you stand like a statue and you sing because I mean, as a kid, me anyway. I was very uncomfortable with that whole situation and being in that position. So it was very, very stoic and like a statue there. So I've had to really try to be more expressive on stage, and um, I'll go over and this is behind the scenes. Don't tell anyone, but I'll go have like fake conversations with a bass player, so it looks like it looks like we're being cool and chatting on stage, but really I'm just like, you good, buddy? All right, whatever. So I don't think it's a different persona necessarily, but I am trying to lean into more of a exciting stage presence the best I can anyway. Sarah's been doing a good job. She's been trying to put her instrument down and take the mic off the stand and kind of move around and that kind of thing a little bit. So we are conscious of how we present ourselves, and we're trying to do better. So
Do you feel like it's pretty crazy? Like if you don't have your instrument, does it like make you feel insecure if you don't have it?
for me, 100%, yeah, big time, big time. I'm not sure if she feels that way or not. So she doesn't play mandolin on all of her songs, but she usually will hold it anyway. But I I can't think of the last time that I sang without a guitar in front of me with something to do with my hands. I'd be like, Ricky Bobby if I if I didn't have something in my hands for sure. But yeah, it used to be before I was comfortable with the instrument. Like I said, it used to be more of a uh, not a barrier or a burden, but it was something that I was conscious of. Like all right, I got to make sure I get get this chord right, or I get these rhythms right, or the transitions got to hit. And now it's like the opposite. Now it's like a comfort. Like if I have it with me, then I'm like, all right, I'm in this like mode now, and I'm good to go. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it changes the more, and it's just preparation and being comfortable. Helps a lot. So
I heard you earlier say you had a whole bucket list. What do you still have on the list?
Well, regionally, we would love to play Floyd Fest. That's a cool festival in Virginia. That's kind of local to us. Bristol Rhythm and Roots is a festival we'd love to play. Um, we've gotten into the Charlotte market a little bit down, it's kind of like our main big city in the area. It would be fun to kind of get into those clubs down there. But again, just making connections and knowing people. And, we've had some talks with some folks to help us with booking in the past. We just haven't really gotten not gotten anywhere with it, but we haven't got a lot of traction with that just yet. But I think that's kind of our next step, our next thing that we're looking at once we have our album finished, and try to pair that with booking some more venues. We've played the Blue Ridge Music Center is another really cool venue that we've played. It's a big outdoor amphitheater on the Blue Ridge Parkway. But then we've had a good success with kind of the Wilkesboro western part of North Carolina. We would love to get more into the Asheville, into kind of that music scene. There's a great, healthy music scene there. We've played a couple of times at some smaller venues there. So there's the Orange Peel, the Gray Eagle. There's all these music clubs in the Asheville area that we would love to get into. But we try to be grateful for the opportunities that we have and that have gotten, and not dwell too much on what hasn't happened yet. But yeah, there's definitely a list. So.
Have you ever been to the IBMA?
No, we actually haven't. So the one time we planned on going, it was one of the years in Raleigh, and it rained. It was like terrible, terrible weather. And the other times we've seemed to have gigs almost every single time it comes up. So we were slated to play one of the showcases the year that we got rained out, with some friends from the Bluegrass Jam that we used to go to pretty regularly. They had a showcase at one of the IBMA stages, but yeah, it didn't work out. And then now I guess it's in Chattanooga maybe, or something like that now. But yeah, we haven't made it out there.
Is that on the list maybe?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Anything in that that vein would be awesome. Obviously we'd love to, play the Ryman and all this kind of big stages too. But just getting on kind of the local mid tier festival circuit would be awesome. We'd be super happy with that. Like I said, we all work full time, so being able to do kind of the weekend warrior thing would be kind of our ideal situation.
You ever played in Nashville?
No, been there, but have not played.
What's the furthest away you've played?
We've played in Charleston, South Carolina, so that's, I don't know, it's 4 or 5 hours from us. We played in Northern Virginia at the festival with Scythian that I mentioned earlier. Let's see, we've kind of played on the coast, we've kind of played in the mountains. So yeah, probably a 3 to 4 hour radius is kind of the farthest that we've been able to get to so far. Yeah.
Is that just from booking, or is that like a preference?
Yeah, I think to get any farther out than that, we'd have to, it's gonna sound bad, but really like think about it, So, it would take a lot more brain power and effort than we've been able to kind of put together as a group, really. The summertime is kind of our prime time to travel and that kind of thing. So my wife doesn't work in the summer; she's a teacher. So we've looked at doing some. We traveled out west. My wife and I with some other families, a vacation thing. We went out to Arizona and that area, and we actually looked at a couple places while we were there to see. But we didn't get any responses out there. But that would have been kind of a cool experience. But yeah, it's something that we want to make sure that we're ready musically for it, but in terms of, is it going to be beneficial for the venue to have us out that far away and that kind of thing. So we want to be respectful and conscious of that. I think that sometimes bands get kind of caught in the trap of like, I want to go play here and I'll do this, do that. But if they're not ready for it in terms of what they can bring, then it's just going to be might be a bad experience for both parties. And we just want to make sure that we explore avenues that are going to be beneficial for us and for whoever has us out, So that's kind of where we're at with that right now.
So, well, I guess school started back up there now.
Yeah, today was the first day actually.
Oh,
yeah. It's been a big day.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. So we got Look Who It Is, and we got the first day of school all in one. So.
So that kind of slows you down now for summer shows.
Yeah, sort of. Mainly for weekday shows, we're pretty limited to weekend shows unless it's a great opportunity. There are times where we'll just take time off work and do something that's that's out of town, or if it's a weeknight, we'll just power through the next day kind of thing. But it's got to be the right opportunity. We're not going to go we're not going to go play something until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And so that's not a good opportunity for us this time of year, especially. So yeah, it's more weekend warrior kind of stuff right now for us.
How late can you play? I mean, I guess if you're playing inside, it's not bad, but I mean, festivals and stuff, eventually you're not going to want to be out there in 40 degrees.
Yeah, no, we moving into the like November to like late March. We're very, very selective on what we do and what we don't do. If it's an awesome opportunity, there's a creator that I follow. His name's Rhett Scholl. He's a guitar guy, and he does like cool gear reviews and stuff like that. But anyway, he talks about the criteria that he thinks of to select gigs, and he says that he thinks of the opportunity, of the money, and of the hang. He says, or like the experience, with like if it's gonna be fun. So I have kind of thought about it like that. So if it's an awesome opportunity that outweighs these other two things, but it's a great opportunity, then we'll consider it. But usually it needs to have like two of the of the three. Like if it's fun and it pays well, but it's to just some friends that want to get some music together, okay, cool, we'll consider it. Or if it's going to be fun and it's a great opportunity but it doesn't pay well, then we'll consider that as well. If that if that kind of makes sense. But so it kind of has to meet that criteria for us to do something when it's if it's bad, if it's cold outside, or if it's late night, or that kind of thing. So we're pretty slow. We always seem to get busy like leading up to Christmas, and then we go dark until spring usually. So once in a while we'll have an indoor gig. Like we played this past January. We played a headlining show at the drinking room in Winston, like a ticketed event, whatever. But that was kind of the only thing we had for like 3 months.
What do you do in that downtime?
take the kids here and there and everywhere, and just be. I mean, music's a big part of our life, but we're parents and spouses first, and that's always going to come first for us. So that's an opportunity for it. We're season ticket holders for the Charlotte Hornets, so we go to a lot of Hornets games in the wintertime. We call that our winter vacation. We that's kind of how we justify paying for it, and B, we kind of look at that as like, all right, here's something we can look forward to when it's freezing cold outside and there's not much else to do. So we do that. I coach youth basketball. But we're pretty busy people, so we do have a lot going on. But then we take the opportunity to try to record a little bit, try to write some songs. So now that the studio is up and running, we can hopefully take advantage of that more during our upcoming downtimes that we have.
So do you have like an ETA on when you'd like to have all this music done and have a new album out?
Sure. Yeah, it's almost September now, right? So if we could have it done by Halloween, that would be awesome. I think that's a pretty reasonable goal considering how much we have at this point. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. Hopefully get at least one music video out before then of one of our songs that's finished. So try to get a few videos posted to socials and things like that. Just kind of stir up some maybe get a new person or two listening to us. So
have you played any of those songs live?
Oh, yeah. There's my track list sitting right here. Can't show it to you. Don't give me secrets away. I would say of all of these songs, there's only one on the new album that we haven't played live yet. So it's songs that we would get together as a band and and say, hey, here's a song I've been working on. Let's kind of work through it. And then our next gig, we would just like, hey, let's go for it with that new song, and then just start playing it. And then it's actually, we have found it. Our other albums have been kind of the opposite. Like I've come into the studio and said, because again, it's just been me and Sarah. So I'll say, hey, here's a song that I wrote. Here's the kind of the scratch track for it. See what you think, and let's start there. This has kind of been the opposite. We've been playing these songs live for some of them a couple of years without recording them. So we're really comfortable with them. So when we came into the studio, we already had the structure figured out. We already had ideas for, harmony parts, for, kind of special things that we can't always do live that we could add to it to give it some volume and some extra flavor. So it's actually been really cool to kind of do it that way, write the songs, play them live for a little while, kind of get them under our belt, and then come to the studio to hash them out.
You think the songs change much from playing them live and stuff to when you come in and you have some ideas and you're like, well, I just want to completely change this part? Or
a little bit, yeah. Especially with our bass line, our bass lines have really evolved in the studio. Because I recognize that sometimes I might not be the best deliverer of how I think a song should sound. Like I'll play it for the guys and say, hey, here's a song I wrote. Here's me singing it. Or oftentimes I'll send them I'll just sing it to my phone and just text it to them so they'll have something to listen to. Here's a song. Work through it next time we get together, and then maybe play it live on whatever XYZ date. So they're just kind of, I won't say they're winging it, but they're just kind of going with the flow, feeling it out, playing along. Our bass player is a big jam band kind of guy, so he's not like a strict 1/5 dum 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 kind of bluegrass player.
Right.
He's kind of all over the place and likes to experiment a little bit. So when we got in the studio, it was pretty fun actually to see how that side of his thinking could kind of make the songs better in our opinion. So it's kind of cool. So we were playing through them live, and just like I do, like I loop my guitar parts I do the same thing for him so we could play the bass line over and over. And as he kind of as those parts kind of grew, that's what he plays live now on several of the songs. So that's kind of fun to see him sort of shift based on the time we've been able to spend in the studio. So
makes some more folk Americanagrass.
That's right. Yeah. There's a song called Miracle. I'm looking at the one here right now. So it went from a pretty straightforward song to now it's got this. There's a song called Sissy Strut. It's like an old like funk song, whatever. And he's like, I want to try this Sissy Strut style bass line. I'm like, all right, go for it, man. And it like fit perfect. So that's what he rolls with now. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all right. How can people find your music and find out more about you, find out where you're
Sure.
playing?
Yeah, man. So we have a website. It's called hisandhersnc.com. So NC for North Carolina. Hisandhersnc.com. At the top of that is the links to all of our socials. But the handle or whatever for all of those is at hisandhersnc. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything like that. So hisandhersnc. And we're on Spotify and all those kind of streaming services. We got some YouTube videos up, and we're doing our best to get more out there as we're able to finish up our music and make a few videos and yeah, try to get TikTok famous, like a Look Who It Is podcast. I hope.
It's so easy.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming on, man.